I'm just a believer we should never forget history.
This Black History Month, News 6 is looking back.
Without people like them, we wouldn't have change.
At the Trailblazers.
He was a hero.
Showing you how they are being honored.
I never dreamt that this would ever happen in my lifetime.
Celebrating groundbreaking achievements.
Look at what happened when you push yourself and work hard. You become an Olympian.
And looking toward the future.
I believe that the future, like kids now, they're very inspiring.
While having a little fun.
All right now, Sarah!
This is News 6, Getting Results. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Crystal Moyer. Ginger, we have so many great, inspiring, and emotional stories to share tonight.
Yeah, that's for sure, Crystal. Starting with the ripple effects from the death of Trayvon Martin. This year marks 10 years since George Zimmerman shot and killed the 17-year-old, a death that led to peaceful protest and calls for change. Today, Sanford announced it is commissioning a permanent marker at the site of those rallies, Fort Mellon Park. News 6's Lewis Bolden is at the Goldsboro Welcome Center looking back at how the city reacted in 2012 and what has changed a decade later.
I think Trayvon Martin's death has had an impact around the country.
Yes.
Frances Oliver is the founder and owner of the Goldsboro Welcome Center and Museum and a Sanford historian.
Trayvon's death and Trayvon's name and the injustice about Trayvon caused a lot of people to be more alert.
In February of 2012, Trayvon Martin was shot and killed in Sanford by George Zimmerman, who was 28 at the time. Zimmerman claimed self-defense and was not immediately arrested. It sparked outrage from the community and grew into an international movement.
We want to see Zimmerman in court with handcuffs behind his back.
Weeks after the shooting, Reverend Al Sharpton organized a rally calling for the Sanford Police Department to arrest Zimmerman. Thousands packed Sanford's Fort Mellon Park. Around the same time, Sanford's police chief, Bill Lee, was fired.
And what has changed since then? What would you say has changed?
I think the one that I recognize most is a change in the police department. They are friendly, they are willing to help. We don't see them, with people on the ground and all this kind of stuff.
So that's not an accident.
No, it's not. What's been important for us is to make sure that our guys are out and about, even myself, out and about trying to do things in the community.
Chief Cecil Smith started in Sanford about a year after Trayvon Martin's death.
His death was not law enforcement related, but it gave us all an opportunity to say, hey, how can we be better as a community? How can we be better in law enforcement as well?
Chief Smith immediately started rebuilding the department and the trust within the community by making officers visible and accessible. He does a monthly meeting in Goldsboro with Commissioner Kerry Wiggins. He also created a website broken down into community service areas where residents can click on their neighborhood and see the officers who patrol their area and even email them directly.
It's about us, getting back to the old ways of police officers and community people knowing who each other are.
And the community has noticed.
There have been some changes for the better, especially in the police department.
Chief Smith says the focus for his officers should be less about policing and more about being a resource for this community. Getting Results, I'm Lewis Bolden, News 6.
And in the past year, Central Florida has taken steps to help right one of our most infamous cases of injustice.
4 young black men known as the Groveland Four were first posthumously pardoned, and last year they were exonerated. Now a Central Florida lawmaker wants more for the men wrongfully accused of raping a white woman in 1949. A sheriff's posse tracked down one of the men, Ernest Thomas, shooting him 400 times. After their first trial, Lake County Sheriff shot Walter Irvin and Samuel Shepard, claiming they tried to escape. Shepard died. Irvin was sentenced to death. Charles Greenlee to life. State Representative Geraldine Thomas introduced a reparations bill in January. If passed, it would provide black business loans and scholarships in the names of the four.
Well, this year, there are new honors for civil rights crusaders, a local military hero, and the woman who integrated Seminole County schools. We start, though, with Brevard County civil rights leaders Harriet and Harriet Moore. News 6's Treasure Roberts spoke with their great-grandson.
Ginger, Crystal, decades before the Montgomery bus boycott, Harriet Moore founded the Brevard County NAACP. You mentioned the Groveland Four. As director of the Florida NAACP, Moore organized a campaign protesting the wrongful conviction of the 3 young men who survived to see trial. His cause for justice led to the couple's murder 2 years later. Now they've been nominated for the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
This is an incredible honor. It's something that, I couldn't be prouder of, my family couldn't be prouder of, and obviously all those that are doing the day-to-day activities at the Cultural Center.
Darren Pagan is the great-grandson of the Moores. That was his reaction the day we learned Florida Congressman Charlie Crist nominated the Moores in a formal letter to President Joe Biden. Together, they helped 116,000 African Americans register to vote before their home was bombed Christmas night, 1951, their 25th wedding anniversary.
I think it is certainly long overdue. Just because they made the ultimate sacrifice. We're standing in front of the house that my great-grandparents and grandmother lived in.
The Moore's home has now been rebuilt as part of the Moore Cultural Complex in Mims. I talked to Pagan there earlier this month. President Joe Biden has not yet acted on their nomination for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Leaders of the Moore Center tell me they are waiting on pins and needles. Ginger and Crystal.
Thank you, Treasure. A local representative wants to name a fort in Georgia after this fallen Seminole County war hero.
Representative Stephanie Murphy wants Fort Benning renamed Fort Cash for Army Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash. It's all part of the Pentagon's process to rename military properties that currently honor Confederate leaders. And it comes after the president posthumously awarded Cash the highest military award in December, the Medal of Honor.
He was a hero. He was a beloved son and brother, a proud husband and a father of 3 children.
Cash sacrificed his life by rushing into a burning vehicle to rescue fellow soldiers in Iraq. The naming commission will provide its final recommendations by October 1st.
A building at Sanford Middle School now honors a woman who made history on its campus less than 6 decades ago. Building 2 is now Ingrid Burton Nathan Hall. She was just 14 years old when she stepped into what was then called Sanford Junior High in 1964.
Yeah, after integrating Seminole County schools, she later spent decades teaching and told News 6's Amanda Castro what her new honor means.
I never dreamt that this would ever happen in my lifetime.
It's an honor decades in the making. As Ingrid Burton Nathan returned to Sanford Middle School nearly 60 years after she walked on campus as the first Black student to integrate Seminole County Public Schools.
I walked into it without thinking of danger. I didn't think of anything except I'm going to school to represent my dad and my mom.
It was 1964, and she was just 14 years old at the time, remembering how police escorted her to school, and her classmates were nice that day, including Fred Gaines.
I welcomed Ingrid first day in the lunchroom. She came in she really lost soul. I cleared a spot for her, and I don't know, we just became friends.
But after that first day, Ingrid describes her time at Sanford Middle as lonely. She says things got worse when she went to Seminole High School the next year. Nathan says she was bullied, wasn't allowed to join clubs, and students accused her of cheating. But she didn't let any of that stop her, graduating in the top 10% of her class, and then going to Florida Southern College to study Spanish, eventually returning to Seminole County to teach for nearly 40 years. Superintendent Sarita Beeman saying she changed history.
I want to thank you for your courage, for being among the first to take those steps that ultimately led our entire district to being deemed unitary for all students.
Now the school district is making sure her story is never forgotten, honoring Nathan by naming Building 2 at Sanford Middle after her.
My name going on the wall was the effort of many people. That means unity, and that means love, that means working together. It shows that there is a good future possible in spite of everything.
In Sanford, Amanda Castro getting results, News 6.
And she actually gets to see that happen.
Yes.
That's what's remarkable. And as Ms. Nathan integrated Seminole schools, Dr. LaVon Bracey did the same thing in Alachua County. They shared their stories on the latest episode of Real Talk, Real Solutions.
You can find it on clickorlando.com, and Bridget is here to highlight what else you can find.
During February and anytime, you can look back at stories posted on clickorlando.com/Black History Month. They include ones like this story about an exhibit in Orlando that showcases photos taken during the protests following the death of George Floyd. Or this one, highlighting a local hotel considered a mecca for African-American celebrities back in the 60s and 70s. There's even a podcast about a young Black entrepreneur who says her popcorn business is all about people over profits. Learn more about these stories and others at clickorlando.com/Black History Month.
Okay, so as you are watching, you can simply open up the camera on your phone and scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen to be linked to our website. We will have it up for the rest of this show.
This Black History Month is also all about inspiring the next generation, including through dance.
Nobody has just ever just put me on the spotlight like that. Just automatically put me in the show.
In minutes, how a trailblazing Black ballerina is using her art to inspire young girls and achieve. And
just spent an exorbitant amount of time out here studying and trying to get the history and gathering as much as we could.
How one local woman is using her retirement years to preserve the legacies of Black families who might have been forgotten. Also,
that day that I said, wow, I want to do that job. I want to bring this magic, that feeling that I felt, into the community and spread it to everyone else.
We talked to the 5th Black man to ever become a Disney ambassador about his road to magic. She broke barriers as the first Black ballerina in Delaware. Now she's paying it forward, helping young girls stay on point.
Yeah, and she is pointing the way for them to achieve their own dreams on the stage and off. So I talked with her at the Boys and Girls Club in the Westlakes neighborhood. Inside the Bradley Otis Boys and Girls Club in the Westlakes neighborhood.
Okay, ready? Let's do this.
These tiny dancers are warming up before ballet class.
We have the soles of the feet together. Nice stretch, ladies.
For most of these girls,
and head down.
This is their introduction to ballet or any kind of formal dance.
I never saw a ballerina before.
In many ways, it's like learning a new language.
Plie, plie. It means to bend. Okay, when we bend, we plie, we do not lift the heels.
So you could call their ballet teacher, Heidi Yancey, their interpreter. She is the performing arts director at the Westlakes Boys and Girls Club, and she expects a lot from these budding ballerinas.
And come up.
There's a reason she sets the bar so high.
This helps you get your splits, guys.
Miss Heidi, as her students call her,
hands on the hips,
started dancing when she was 5. By the time she was 19, she had become Delaware's first Black ballerina.
And come up.
She landed the role as a soloist in the ballet Cinderella. She has performed on Broadway with the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater and the Russian Ballet Company, to name a few.
If the kids want to know, okay, yes, I've also choreographed on a set with Beyonce. You want to know that?
But her road to success was not easy. She was often the only Black student and says her teachers did not treat her like the other girls. She was often pinched, left bruised, and called names.
So she would put her nails into my skin and grab me, and I just remember her throwing me across the room and get over here and using some very bad words such as the N-word and things like that. Oh, yes, yeah. So it was pretty tough with me, but for some reason, I don't know, it didn't faze me. There you go.
From that cruelty, she choreographed a career helping young girls and boys find their rhythm.
Beautiful dancers. You look fabulous today.
Her students say they have never met anyone quite like her. 8-year-old Ariana says her first day in ballet class, Miss Heidi gave her a role in the Black History Month show.
Everybody I've joined, nobody has just ever just put me on the spotlight like that. Automatically put me in the show.
Hold it and plie.
She put me in the front too, so yeah. And before I learned that when you're in the front, it's a chance for you to show what you've got.
Act like I have a piece of paper in between your thighs, and the paper cannot drop.
Miss Heidi says each student gets a chance in her class, but they must do the work.
Chest up, squeeze.
She says keeping them on their toes now,
keep the straight leg straight, it's like a stick,
will help them develop skills for a lifetime, whether they become dancers or doctors.
Next.
If she's tough, because she's trying to make sure that you know how to do stuff, make sure that you're perfect, make sure that you are okay.
Act like you have a tray on your arms and it's food and you can't drop it. So the arms have to stay up strong.
Under Miss Heidi's leadership,
Hold that position, look at your beautiful faces.
she makes sure her students see themselves in a positive light, which is something she says she never received when she was a young student. They say her words,
Keep trying, dancers. You are fabulous.
make them feel special.
You are great. You've got this.
She's very kind, very nice, not disrespectful. She has a beautiful name. She is beautiful, and I like the way how she is.
Ready, go. 1.
I like ballet because I never did ballet before, and I think it's a great thing to do.
And Miss Heidi knows speaking positive affirmations to her students now will position them for success on the only stage that counts.
Thank you very much, dancers.
Real life.
Great job. Once again, repeat. I am fabulous. Give yourself a hand.
Ginger, I just want to applaud you. Incredible story.
I could have spent the entire day with them, the way she is with these children, and you can hear it in what they say about her. She treats them with such love, kindness, and respect.
That's all they ask
It's so
for.
important. Even at 8, they want respect.
Incredible
Love
story.
her.
Well, they say the future belongs to the children. Coming up, we'll show you how local students are taking a look back and honoring Central Florida's Black history.
Just spent an exorbitant
And we
amount
will
of
take you
time.
inside one local community where a historic cemetery was almost forgotten. How one woman is using her retirement years to protect the legacies of hundreds of Black families. This month, communities across Central Florida are focused on honoring our Black history.
That includes the town of Goldsboro. It is one of the oldest Black-founded communities in Central Florida. The Goldsboro Historical Museum tells the story of how the Seminole County town, which was incorporated in 1891, was once a thriving all-Black area founded by one of 2 brothers. The other brother founded the town of what is now historic Eatonville. Pasha Baker is the museum's director. She says it was created by her great-aunt.
She was a former teacher of Midway Elementary, had 30+ years of service in that, and then continued her lifelong commitment of service by serving the community with these museums, and now it is 6 entities.
Baker says she's determined to continue her aunt's work. And students are also coming together to honor a community rooted right here in Central Florida.
Yeah, they recently installed historic markers on top of the street signs in the community of Georgetown, which is also in Seminole County. News 6's Amanda Castro shows us why it's important.
East of Sanford Avenue and north of Celery Avenue, you'll find the community of Georgetown. Sanford's founder selling the land to early Black pioneers who established the community in 1870.
You have those that had their own barbershops, they had their own store, they had their own funeral homes, the schools.
The historic African-American neighborhood flourishing during the Jim Crow era. And in 2020, it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The blocks of homes, businesses, schools, and churches laying down generations of roots. And now this history is rising to the top.
They have been looking to get things done, preserve, get the actual attention that's been needed within the Georgetown area.
Sanford City Commissioner Carrie Wiggins says the city is working with Seminole High School students and the Georgetown Historic District Steering Committee to honor and preserve the neighborhood's rich history. Volunteers will go throughout the neighborhood on Saturday, installing these red Georgetown signs on top of the street signs. A distinct marker that Wiggins hopes will spark conversations about the past and look to the future.
And it strikes up a conversation for you to be able to know the value and the worth that's being preserved for our youth, for them to be able to get an understanding of whose shoulders we're actually standing on that paved the way for us to be able to be in the situations that we're in.
A sign that reminds us of Georgetown's unique history and the stories worth preserving.
Being able to find out and knowing how this came about, all the different businesses and the schools and the churches and just the citizens that are here, generations after generations of coming back and being able to see and know what's really going on here in Georgetown.
In Sanford, Amanda Castro, Getting Results, News 6.
In Orange County, one woman made it her mission to give a voice to the voiceless who can no longer speak for themselves.
So I met the woman dedicated, now in her retirement years, who has spent 2 decades getting results at a local cemetery, reviving stories that otherwise would have been forgotten. In West Orange County, in the heart of a new community, lies an old graveyard.
This is where I heard my grandmother talk about and the other people talk about.
With hundreds of years of history on the line.
So the Turnpike Authority was going to claim some land as eminent domain, and we didn't want that to happen. The developers started coming in.
It could have been gone forever.
We had to go to court then.
Until Miss Betty Wade stepped in.
What finally happened with the court is that they named me trustee.
And made sure the land was preserved by the town of Oakland.
We just spent an exorbitant amount of time out here studying and trying to get the history and gathering as much as we could.
Then, ground-penetrating radar was used to see how many people were actually buried here.
I would think more in the 250, maybe 300 range.
There are some well-preserved headstones. And I'm looking now and just like, this is one of, like that's a toddler, just like a little girl who's 4 years old.
Yeah.
But many are unmarked.
The PVC pipes all around, they marked graves. Those are grave sites.
Oh, where you see the piping and the pink?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Those are grave sites.
Mrs. Wade's grandfather does have a headstone at the Oakland African American Cemetery. Is this it?
This is it. Here.
The farmer dying at just 37, leaving a young widow and 3 kids behind. The last pandemic.
The last one.
Is that how your grandfather passed?
Yeah, he did.
Her uncle, her grandma's son, is also buried on this property. What a handsome picture. George Walker shares a final resting place with other black people who died from 1882 through the 1940s. Some of their grave markers, like these shell-covered ones, giving us a peek into their lives.
There was a belief, and this was from Africa, that something to do with the water and their being able to communicate or something with the dead that they were buried.
Their legacies living on. And you know, they said dead people don't talk, but each of these markers tells a story.
They do. It's somebody's relatives.
And for almost 20 years now, Miss Wade has been helping to preserve their stories. And why is it so important that this history is remembered?
Because if we forget it, we forget who we are and where we came from, what our relatives went through in order to get us to this point. And I'm just a believer we should never forget history, because we do repeat it if we don't.
So thankful for her work and her patience and just her dedication to making sure that those stories are not forgotten.
And those families, you know, when they come back to visit, are probably so grateful.
Absolutely.
That someone cares.
Yeah.
Well, can small old towns turn into growing cities without pushing out families who have spent generations living there? Coming up, how local leaders are working to get results in historically black neighborhoods. And
I remember my family and my mom and dad saying, hey, if he gets into trouble, take care of it, you know, to a lot of our neighbors. You can definitely discipline him in whatever fashion.
The first black man to play the Phantom on Broadway grew up in Central Florida. How he says his upbringing prepared him to break barriers on the Great White Way.
Look at what happened when you push yourself and work hard. You become an Olympian.
we take you to the school that helped groom Erin Jackson to become the first black woman to win an Olympic medal in speed skating.
It's amazing, you know, like the moms or the parents reaching out and saying like, oh, you really inspired my daughter.
A local Olympian makes history. Hear from the first Black speed skater to win gold and the teachers that helped her grow.
I worked in the Magic Kingdom guest relations. I worked with our guest experience team, enhancing that guest experience, and I worked as a VIP tour guide.
He set out to achieve a lifelong dream in the 8th grade, and he did it. How this Disney ambassador is breaking barriers at the most magical place on earth. First, though, a local organization is working to get results for a historically Black town in Seminole County.
Leaders say as new construction projects get underway, it's important to figure out how all the growth is impacting the neighborhood of Midway and to make sure the infrastructure is up to snuff. News 6's Nadine Yanes reports.
We are here in the community of Midway. It is a neighborhood rich in Black history, and it's an unincorporated Seminole County right here. And if you take a look, there are currently 10 developments either underway or already built, putting pressure on this neighborhood. So there's now a coalition of residents not only working to preserve the history, but protect the community's needs here.
This is exactly what gentrification looks like.
It's a bold statement as tractors break ground for yet another development down the street from Seminole County's historic Midway.
We may call it gentrification. Entrepreneurs look at it, they call it development.
Emery Green is the co-founder of the Midway Coalition.
Our history is unlike any other.
Midway is where migrant workers lived and worked in the 1900s. Picking celery is seen here in historical images from the state archives.
The city of Sanford's first African-American city commissioner was born on that farm.
But some of those same fields are now foundations for new homes, and he sees a difference.
Every home in historic Midway Canaan City is on septic tanks. These homes have sewer.
Between New Midway and historic Midway.
They see what's happening on their side of the fence. It doesn't match what's happening on the other side of the fence.
Which is why the coalition is getting results and taking advantage of the growth to get better infrastructure. News 6 was here in Midway as streets flooded just in December. Residents' septic tanks overflowing with winter rain.
When the streets are flooding and you have raw mess coming out of your clean out cap.
But the Seminole County Commission has acknowledged the growth around Midway and has come with one solution.
The growth around Midway has sort of encircled it with neighborhoods that have better infrastructure than Midway does. And we're doing our part to rectify that. But since I've been in office, we have committed $18 million for stormwater.
But Green wants to know what the impacts of all of this new development is having on Midway, from sewers to schools, showing us a joint planning agreement from 2015 between the county and the city of Sanford that says a study may be done.
Areas that may be candidates for a special area study include, what's the first one on that list? Midway.
7 years later, Green says it's never happened.
We know what the impacts are. That study needs to be done, which we can't go back and correct what's already done. You can't put this back in the box.
Commissioner Herr saying a water basin study was done to get the funds to fix the flooding issues. But when it comes to a study specifically at the impacts of growth.
Absolutely, I'd be willing to do a study as long as I can tag that to specific actions and outcomes as a result of the study.
The commissioners, they have stepped up to the plate. We just want equitable investment and opportunities to grow ourselves. It's up to us to ensure that that story is told the right way.
In Seminole County, Nadine Yanes, Getting Results, News 6.
When it comes to representation, some professions are still lacking.
Black attorneys still make up less than 5% of lawyers nationwide. News 6's Jerry Askin is outside FAMU Law with the push to change this narrative.
In order for me to want to change the system, why not be a part of it?
Orlando native and Howard University student Asia Richardson says graduating from Harvard Law and someday becoming a federal judge would mean the world to her. She is a recent graduate of Dr. Phillips High School.
I remember in 4th grade, I was 10 years old, I want to say, when Rayvon Martin was sadly killed, and that was my first ever protest.
And it was also one of her first memories of injustice, she says, and the very reason she also protested when George Floyd was killed.
We got to move forward. We got to move forward from that.
Recent data from the American Bar Association found that black attorneys nationwide made up only 4.7% in 2021. That's slightly down from 4.8% in 2011.
It shows me that it's hard work, but it also shows me that it's possible.
The only way that you can truly impact the system is if you're involved in the system.
Recent FAMU law alumni Okoye Morgan is doing his part in getting results too. He wrote a children's book called The Boy Who Went to Law School, hoping to change the narrative for Black kids.
I make this boy like a superhero, and he's able to accomplish law school. He can be a president, he can be an attorney, he can be what he's called out to be.
I didn't see that many people that look like me, but that also inspired me to want to be somebody to represent the community.
Attorney Lucy Robinson owns and manages Pentard Robinson Law here in Orlando, alongside her co-owner and partner who manages the practice down in South Florida. They also sponsor some of our News 6 Black History Month coverage.
It puts that on me like, hey, there's not a lot of people like you in this profession. You have to do a great job and help pave the way for others. You can do it, and we're here to help.
And back here at FAMU Law, where leaders here tell me they have more than 1,500 graduates and 11 of their alumni are current judges nationwide. Now, FAMU also has a legal scholars program on their main campus in Tallahassee to attract more students interested in law school. I'm Jerry Askin, getting results, News 6.
Jerry, thank you. She broke records as the first African-American woman to win an Olympic medal in speed skating, and Erin Jackson brought home the gold.
Yeah, soon after her gold medal moment, I got the chance to ask Erin about her historic achievement.
Yeah, really special, really special. And I mean, I've seen, a lot of the support out there, and it's amazing. Like the moms or the parents reaching out and saying like, oh, you really inspired my daughter, because, she hadn't previously seen anyone like her in these winter sports and the winter games. And it's just, it's amazing. The visibility is super important. And I'm just happy to be, like a new face that could possibly inspire someone.
So Erin made history because of the generosity of fellow Olympian Brittany Bowe, who set aside her own chance of taking that medal. I asked Bowe about that decision.
So for me to relinquish my spot to give Erin that opportunity to make history, and history is what she made, was an honor. This decision, it was so much bigger than me.
I'm near tears right now hearing you explain that generosity and how you helped her make history.
At the end of the day, this is about her. I am a part of that puzzle, but she went to that line and she won that Olympic gold medal, and she has made history. She is going to be a trailblazer for many young girls out there, and I can't think of a better human to do that than her.
I can't think of a more generous friend than Brittany Bowe right now. What an incredible symbol of generosity and friendship there.
And she didn't know, that Erin was going to win.
She just believed in her.
Yes,
she
had that faith.
We all need that. Well, before sharing her gifts on the world stage, Erin Jackson made a name for herself in Ocala, where she grew up.
Yes, former teachers and coaches tells News 6's Brian Didlick Jackson worked just as hard in the class as she did on the ice.
And Jackson is truly inspiring. I was honored to be able to go to Marion County, where her dream started, at Forest High School in Ocala.
When I look at Erin, I think of someone who has this natural talent, but has worked to push herself there.
Here in Ocala, Erin Jackson was well known for her character and leadership long before the Ocala native made history, becoming the first Black woman to win gold for speed skating in the 2022 Winter Olympics. Her victory is now being celebrated here at her alma mater, Forest High School.
I mean, that's terrific. I mean, I really cannot think of anyone that's more deserving.
Out of a class of 500 back in 2011, Jackson was voted on as a top 5 outstanding student.
This is her EMIT photo. There's Erin by herself.
Taking multiple advanced placement courses, participating in track and field, and even taking leadership in programs like the Engineering and Manufacturing Institute of Technology. It's a magnet program grooming future engineers led by this man, Raymond James. He coached Jackson in track and field, saying the Olympian was always a student before an athlete.
She was definitely an overachiever, and when she set a goal, she was going to achieve that goal.
But before all the accomplishments, her dreams documented here in the school's yearbook.
She plans on majoring in materials engineering and to continue online speed skating and possibly pursue her Olympic dreams in ice speed skating.
That dream coming true, her teachers remembering when her victory on the ice became historic.
Could just see her shaking, and she even had to sit down. And then seeing the award ceremony, and even when they were talking about the silver medalist, she's already crying.
She said, I wish that I wasn't the first, but she wished that others had come before her, but she's thrust into that position of leadership now, and she will do amazing things with it.
James hopes Jackson's story will inspire future generations.
She did multiple things and still was able to perform in that class. So when you're saying that, I can't do it, you can do it.
In Ocala,
look at what happened when you push yourself and work hard, you become an Olympian.
Brian Ditlake getting results, News 6.
Just like that, she's an Olympian. The hard work. It's the hard work. She just needed an opportunity. Yeah.
Student athlete.
Wrote it down.
That's so cool to see it in the yearbook.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Erin Jackson is not the only one breaking barriers. He is a young man who realized his dream in the 8th grade to become a Walt Disney World ambassador. So fast forward 13 years and his dream is now a reality. Rayvon Redding is the Walt Disney World ambassador for 2022-23. He is only the 5th Black male to fill that role in Disney's 50-year history. So I got the chance to talk to him about what it took to get there.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. I'll see you around. Bye, friends. See you. Hi, Jake. Hi, Frankie.
Why are you over? I was like, Rayvon's here.
So my name is Rayvon Redding, and I am the 2022-2023 Walt Disney World Ambassador.
Walk around Disney World with newly minted Disney Ambassador Rayvon Redding.
My Disney celebrity is here.
And it's like walking around with a rock star.
I love your team. A treasure.
Thank you.
You bring so much light.
Everywhere he goes.
It's so good to see you.
People light up when they see him. How could you not be excited to see this guy? His energy and enthusiasm are contagious.
So good to see you. You have a good one.
Even on a rainy day.
Hi there. How are you, friend? Wonderful.
He brings his own sunshine. As a kid, he visited the parks a lot.
These are my people.
And had family members who worked here.
And my mother worked at the Emporium. My stepdad worked at Cosmic Rays. My aunt worked on Main Street. My cousin has been with the company 15 years. So I knew I was going to be a cast member.
But in 8th grade, something magical happened in his classroom.
And I turned, and in walked Mickey Mouse and the Walt Disney World ambassador at the time. And it was in that moment that I was not only starstruck because Mickey was in front of me and in front of all my friends, but I felt this aura of magic.
This is a picture from that day when Rayvon met Ambassador Clay Shoemaker. Look at the smile on his face. It's in this moment, Rayvon says, he realized Mickey and the magic could exist outside of the theme parks.
And it was that day that I said, wow, I want to do that job. I want to bring this magic, that feeling that I felt, into the community and spread it to everyone else.
But to get there, Rayvon said he knew he had to be more than a dreamer. He had to be a doer. And he did a lot.
That I was an entertainment cast member and I got to dance in various parades and shows across property and even overseas in Shanghai Disneyland. I worked in the Magic Kingdom guest relations. I worked with their guest experience team, enhancing that guest experience. And I worked as a VIP tour guide.
As a tour guide every day when he came to work, he went to the Ambassador Lounge to find the emblem of the Ambassador pin.
And I would touch it and say, I will become the next Walt Disney World Ambassador. Every day, I did not miss a day.
He said it was during his final interview for the ambassador job, he felt a shift.
I remember standing in front of the big boardroom, and it was with our president and all of the senior steering committee. And I remember telling myself, I'm meant to be here. I am the next Walt Disney World Ambassador. Let me show them why.
We were able to notify Allie and Rayvon yesterday.
He learned the good news over Zoom.
So I began to cry, and I was like, are you serious? Is this a joke? Because I'm easily gullible.
It wasn't. At 27, Rayvon is only the 5th Black man to become a Disney ambassador in 50 years. Now, he is walking confidently in the direction of his dream, the seed planted 13 years ago by a classroom surprise. He now hopes to inspire others to follow in his footsteps. It was Disney who said, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Rayvon's next stop, likely whatever he dreams of.
I believe in magic. I really do.
Okay, every time I see him, I want to cry because he really is that person.
Yes.
Everywhere he goes, people just light up. And don't try to match his enthusiasm. You will hurt yourself because he is just that way all the time. I just love him.
And the confidence. I mean, it feels like he's bringing that Disney magic with all the experience he's had wherever he goes.
He really does. He is sunshine. Well, Disney is also celebrating Black culture with special performances. And Crystal, you actually got to perform in one.
I did. At Disney World welcomed local historically Black fraternities and sororities to perform step routines at Animal Kingdom. I had the incredible opportunity to perform in front of visitors from all over the world. Stepping has a long tradition in Black communities, derived from Africa gumboot dancing. South African mine workers would stomp the ground with distinct rhythm to communicate with one another, sometimes embellishing their boots with bells. In the early 1900s, historically Black fraternities and sororities with the National Panhellenic Council used a variation of stepping and chanting to uplift audiences and show pride in their group. For the first time, local graduate chapters in Orange County were invited to perform during Disney World's Celebrate Soulfully Black History events at Animal Kingdom.
Ready? You know it! Slide! Slide!
We are so excited about this initiative. It's really about connecting our brand to our HBCUs and honoring that long tradition.
Let's enjoy some foot stomping, stepping by Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Ah! Y'all too.
This is historical for Disney to invite local Greek organizations to come and show off our talents and our history. People from all over the world can learn that Greek organizations aren't just about college and stepping. We are about service and scholarship and being a part of our community.
That's me out there performing with the Sisters of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
In 1920, there was a dream to create a sorority to reign supreme.
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated also performed in front of packed crowds at the theme park.
Just creating that connection to community and honoring, again, Black heritage and culture and its richness because it's such a part of American culture. So, we want to make sure that it's something that our Black guests and cast can be proud of and see and identify with, but that other people can learn about these wonderful stories.
It's all about education.
You have some moves, though. That was fantastic.
I'm still sore.
Yeah, but I love it's educate. You got them with some fun, and then you hit them with some facts, too, and that is what draws them in.
Exactly, and that's what I respect the most about NPHC, or the National Panhellenic Council, fraternities and sororities. The membership goes well beyond college. There's graduate chapters. They've all graduated from a 4-year university, and they continue to support their communities through service and education, even after college. And of course, you can learn more about the organizations on clickorlando.com/insider.
Very nice job. Well, we pivot from taking the stage at Disney to a local band taking the stage on Broadway. A Central Florida native was the first Black man to ever play the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera. Norm Lewis talked to News 6's Eric Sandoval about how Eatonville helped to shape his love of music.
Slowly, gently, night unfurls its splendor.
Long before he became the first African-American actor to play the title role in The Phantom of the Opera,
I am the law, and the law is not mocked!
And Javert in Les Miserables, Norm Lewis,
I had a really, really good childhood.
Called the town of Eatonville home.
It was a community of people that looked out for each other. I remember my family and my mom and dad saying, hey, if he gets into trouble, take care of it, to a lot of our neighbors. You can definitely discipline him in whatever fashion, and then let us know so we can discipline him.
Lewis says he found his voice singing here at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, and he found his love of the stage accidentally when he tried to get out of home economics class while attending Edgewater High School in Orlando.
So I said, I don't want to do that. I'm not really into sewing and cooking at this age. There's nothing wrong with that. I just was not into it. And I thought, you know what, I sing in church, so why not try to sing in school? And somehow they let me in.
The folks with plenty got to pray all the day.
He says that catapulted him to a career that included starring roles in shows like Porgy and Bess.
There is nothing on earth that we share.
In 2006, Lewis became the first African-American to play the role of Javert in Les Miserables. A year later, he originated the role of King Triton in Disney's The Little Mermaid.
Turn your thoughts away from...
Then he auditioned for one of the biggest roles of his career.
And listen to the music of the night.
The Phantom, in Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera.
Before I stepped out there, I felt the souls of people I've known and admired for so many years, either dead or still alive. And I heard voices. I literally heard voices saying, go get it.
And he got it. Lewis played the title role for more than a year, while also appearing on TV shows like CBS's Blue Bloods.
I do know that I've made an impact. Yes, I have made history. For me, I know that being a person of color, being someone who is Black, there are people who are looking at me as someone that represents an entire race. And, this little kid that is possibly saying, hey, I can do that now.
In Orlando, Eric Sandoval, Getting Results, News 6.
Chills. That's all I get when I hear his voice. What a phenomenal job. And I'm glad he didn't like home ec.
I know, right? Who
We would've
would have
missed out.
thought?
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine. You did the right thing. Well, still to come, a grown man and a young girl pushing to bring a positive message to Black kids. Next, meet Tayte and the girl already inspiring others.
I am Black, brown, and beautiful. I'm a winner, I'm a leader, and I'm fearless.
She sure is. How her words and drawings are getting results for the next generation.
This Black History Month, we honor the genius of the South. Eatonville native and author Zora Neale Hurston was the dazzling mind behind Their Eyes Were Watching God, Mules and Men, Spunk, and Dust Tracks on a Road. An annual celebration in Eatonville, Zora Fest, still honors her today. She's not the only one inspiring people with her books. One Orlando author is spreading positive imagery through his children's book, Tayte and the Believers. Deontay Lawrence says this will not only help inspire Black and brown boys, but encourage all children and adults to get past color and support the dreams of all kids.
Tayte's on a journey to find the believers, and a lot of the images that you see are things that I wanted to be. It just shows the confidence and the security that Tayte has that was given to him by his parents, right? So a reason my parents told me they will be there when I chase my dreams.
Lawrence says Tayte's World will be an 8-book series, so there will be plenty of content for young kids.
Fantastic. And a local girl is sharing her second book. The focus is also on inspiring kids. News 6's Julie Broughton talks to her about her goal of inspiring the next generation.
I am Black, brown, and beautiful. I'm a winner, I'm a leader, and I'm fearless.
That's the message 12-year-old Lauren Jones wants to take worldwide. The artist and author goes by the name Summer Strawberry. She shares her process and art like this digital drawing of our very own Ginger Gadsden on her Summer Strawberry YouTube channel.
I am also self-taught as well, which is, so at first I was starting with paper and pencil drawings. And once I transitioned to digital drawings, I realized, oh, my skills are increasing very much.
Jones's second book, Glow Up, is out now, featuring affirmations and new activity pages.
One is talking about the Atlantic slave trade, this page right here. And then this one is a affirmations page where you can write your own affirmations. And so many Black people, many activists have fought for their freedom and for their people's freedom. And I think that was very important to learn about.
Since we last caught up with Jones, she led a workshop at the Orlando Science Center on drawing and vision boards.
I was like, how are you doing? And they're like, oh my God, this is so fun. They were like really excited. And many of the vision boards were really creative and detailed. And I was like, wow, those are so cool.
So what does Jones envision for her own future?
I also want to maybe make my own animated series that can go on Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus even.
Jones is also planning speaking engagements at some Osceola County schools.
This is the new generation. This is the future. And I believe that the future, like kids now, they're very inspiring. Like they can even inspire adults to start doing things.
The third book in the Black, Brown, and Beautiful series comes out later this year. Julie Broughton, Getting Results, News 6.
So talented. Jones tells us she's also creating a drawing class because so many people ask her about her technique.
Yeah, and why wouldn't they when you see her talent?
Look at this. We had to revisit this picture she drew of you, Ginger, because it's absolutely spot on. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, I'm so happy that she did that. It was a great surprise for me, and I just always thank you so much.
I can't wait to see
her.
I
love it. Yeah,
animated series.
Yeah, this has been so fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us for our special hour honoring the achievements and inspiration of people who got results in all walks of life. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Crystal Moyer. You can find all of these stories and more anytime at clickorlando.com/Black History Month.